What if I told you that the most devastatingly powerful weapon you will ever possess in your entire lifetime isn't the size of your bank account, the elite connections you possess, or even raw, natural talent? It is your mind. Every single day you wake up, you are making thousands of micro decisions. You are constantly managing waves of fear, baseline anxiety, digital distractions, and external chaos, most of the time without even consciously realizing it. And somewhere, buried deep beneath the relentless noise of smartphone notifications, chronic stress, and mindless routine, is a version of you that is sharper, calmer, more intensely focused, and completely unstoppable. That version of you isn't some idealistic fantasy. It is not a genetic luxury reserved exclusively for Elon Musk, Serena Williams, or a monk meditating on a remote Himalayan mountaintop. That version is you. Once you finally learn how to train, optimize, and master the one singular engine that controls literally everything else, your human brain. Welcome to the Architecture of an Unbeatable Mind, a comprehensive guide to strengthening your cognitive capacity and living your absolute best life. I'm your narrator, and over the next 35 minutes, we are going to embark on a transformative journey together through the worlds of cutting-edge neuroscience, behavioral psychology, gripping real-world case studies, and highly practical mental exercises that will permanently rewrite how you think, how you perform, and how you experience your daily existence. Stay with me until the very end. By the time this audio program concludes, you won't just feel momentarily inspired. You will have a physical, actionable blueprint in your hands. And as we know, blueprints change buildings, and they change human lives. To truly bridge the gap between passively watching a video and completely mastering these real-world results, you need the full framework in your possession. I've dropped a link to the original book right below, so you can claim the exact techniques, psychological breakdown sheets, and hidden insights that simply didn't make it into this video summary. Now, let's begin. Before we dive straight into the core training, let me walk you through exactly what we are going to explore today. Because a truly high-performing mind, much like a beautifully engineered skyscraper, requires a clear architectural map. Here is your roadmap for today's audio journey. In Chapter 1, we will map out the neuroscience of elite human performance, how your brain actually processes information, why the vast majority of the population completely misuses its potential, and how the biological phenomenon of neuroplasticity gives every single one of us the ability to literally rebuild our physical minds at any given age. In Chapter 2, we will break down the 4 cornerstones of mental toughness, the core psychological disciplines that radically separate ordinary thinkers from world-class executioners. We are talking about hyper-focus, emotional regulation, systematic resilience, and total mental clarity. In Chapter 3, we dive headfirst into the modern war against distraction. Because in a digital landscape explicitly engineered to hijack your attention span, protecting your focus is a profound act of rebellion. We will give you the precise strategic tools to win that war. In Chapter 4, we tackle stress, extreme pressure, and the high-performance mindset, learning how to stop fear from being your paralyzing enemy and instead start utilizing it as high-octane jet fuel. In Chapter 5, we look closely at systems, identity, and the practical architecture of an extraordinary life, exploring exactly why your basic daily routines are actually writing your ultimate destiny, 1 hour at a time. And finally, in Chapter 6, we close our journey with your personal 30-day mental reset plan, a practical, science-backed operational protocol you can execute the exact moment this audio program ends. Whether you are an ambitious entrepreneur, a stressed student, a busy parent, a competitive athlete, or simply someone who refuses to settle and wants to squeeze more out of life, this audiobook was custom written for you. Now, let us begin with Chapter 1. Chapter 1: The Neuroscience of Human Potential. Here is a profound biological truth that will immediately alter how you perceive your own potential. Inside your skull, your brain contains approximately 86 billion neurons. Each individual neuron has the miraculous capacity to form up to 10,000 distinct connections with other neighboring neurons. When you do the math, that amounts to roughly 100 trillion synaptic connections, a number that is vastly greater than the total number of stars in 1,000 Milky Way galaxies combined. You are quite literally carrying the most highly complex, sophisticated structure in the known universe inside your head. So, let me ask you a critical question. Why do most people go through their day feeling like they are running on 20% battery life? Always mentally foggy, always living in a reactive state, never fully switched on or dialed in? The answer is incredibly simple. They have never been taught the basic user manual for the machinery they own. Let me introduce you to the foundational concept that will underpin every single strategy in this audiobook: neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the human brain's miraculous biological ability to physically reorganize, rewire, and restructure itself by forming brand new neural pathways throughout the course of your entire life. For a very long time, traditional mainstream scientists genuinely believed that the adult human brain was completely fixed, a finished, rigid machine that simply ran its pre-programmed software until the gears eventually wore out. We now know that old-school theory was completely and utterly wrong. Your brain is plastic. It is highly adaptable. It rewires itself constantly. It grows in direct response to environmental demand. Every single time you learn a brand new skill, the relevant neural pathways in your brain physically thicken. Think of it like a wild dirt path in the forest that slowly gets paved into a smooth highway when enough feet walk across it. Every time you repeat a specific thought pattern or a physical behavior, that specific neural pathway becomes stronger, faster, and far more automatic. To make this vivid and undeniable, let's look at a fascinating piece of real-world research. In a landmark study published in the prestigious scientific journal Nature,
Neuroscientists at University College London conducted advanced brain scans on London taxi drivers, individuals who must memorize the incredibly complex, winding, chaotic street grid of one of the world's most intricate cities. What the scientists discovered was absolutely mind-boggling. The hippocampus, the specific region of the human brain deeply responsible for spatial navigation and complex memory, was measurably and physically larger in these taxi drivers compared to the general public. Furthermore, the researchers noticed a direct correlation. The longer a driver had been working the city streets, the larger and more dense their hippocampus had physically grown. The physical architecture of the brain had altered itself entirely in response to intense mental demand.
Now, take a step back and think about the staggering implications of that study. If a city cab driver can physically grow new brain tissue through the deliberate, repeated practice of geographic navigation, what do you think happens to your physical brain when you deliberately, repeatedly practice deep focus, emotional control, and high-level strategic thinking? The biological answer is exactly the same. Your brain grows. It strengthens its internal networks. It begins performing at a fundamentally superior level. But here is the dangerous flip side of the coin. And this is absolutely crucial for you to understand. Neuroplasticity works in both directions. Every single time you sit on your couch and mindlessly scroll through algorithmic social media feeds instead of solving a difficult problem, every time you choose to give into baseline anxiety instead of pressing forward with discipline, every time you choose an easy, cheap hit of distraction over a hard, necessary task, you are also physically building neural pathways. You are just building the wrong ones. Your brain is constantly changing every second of the day. The only real question you need to ask yourself is this: who is currently in charge of the renovation? To understand how to run this renovation project, we have to look at the two primary operating systems that run your entire mental life. What the Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman famously categorized as System 1 and System 2. System 1 is fast, automatic, intensely emotional, highly primitive, and completely unconscious. It is the exact part of your evolutionary brain that instantly catches a falling object, reads the subtle micro-expressions on a stranger's face, or triggers a spike of fear when you hear a loud noise in the dark. System 1 is brilliant, and it is the reason our ancestors survived in the wild. But it is also highly impulsive, deeply biased, and incredibly easy for the modern digital world to manipulate. System 2, on the other hand, is slow, highly deliberate, completely logical, and requires a high level of cognitive effort. This is the advanced part of your brain that solves complex math equations, designs a long-term business strategy, or rationally talks you down from making a catastrophic, impulsive decision at 2 o'clock in the morning. High-performing minds don't just possess a powerful System 2. They know exactly when to deploy each system, and they actively train both systems with extreme deliberation and consistency. Consider an elite fighter pilot engaged in a high-stakes dogfight. They cannot afford to consciously, slowly process every single variable using System 2. They would be shot down in seconds. Instead, their System 1 completely takes over. Rapid, intuitive, immediate, and flawless. But here is the secret. That pilot's System 1 is highly trained. Thousands of grueling flight hours in simulators have physically written those elite instincts directly into their neural hardware, allowing them to function like high-speed software. Look at a chess grandmaster. When they look at a chessboard, they don't see 64 individual, confusing squares. They immediately recognize macro patterns completely instantly through System 1, which have been refined by years of deep, grueling System 2 analysis. Magnus Carlsen, the multi-time world chess champion, once remarked that at the absolute highest levels of chess, the game is fundamentally won before the clock even starts running, built entirely on the flawless pattern recognition developed during years of deliberate study. The ultimate lesson here is clear. Elite performance is the direct product of training your slow System 2 until it successfully automates into your fast System 1. Or, in plain English, you must practice hard things with intense focus until they become completely second nature. There is one more critical neurological concept we must cover before we move on to the practical pillars of mental strength: the default mode network, or the DMN. When your brain is not actively focused on a specific goal-oriented task, it doesn't just go completely quiet. Instead, it activates a highly specific network of interconnected brain regions associated with mind-wandering, self-reflection, overthinking, and daydreaming. This is your default mode network. A famous research study out of Harvard University revealed that human beings spend nearly 47% of their waking hours with their minds completely drifted away from whatever they are actually doing in the present moment. Crucially, the data showed that this constant mind wandering is consistently associated with lower levels of happiness, increased anxiety, and severely degraded productivity. But here is the fascinating twist. The default mode network is not inherently your enemy. When it is properly controlled, structured mind wandering, what psychological researchers call constructive internal reflection, is the exact mental space where human creativity thrives, where massive insights are born, and where your subconscious brain quietly solves complex problems in the background while you rest. High-performing minds learn how to toggle the DMN on and off deliberately. They focus with absolute intensity when focus is required, and then they allow for strategic, structured mental rest when it is time for synthesis and creativity. You are going to learn exactly how to execute that mental toggle starting in Chapter 3. But first, let's explore the 4 core pillars. Chapter 2: The 4 cornerstones of mental toughness. Think of your mind as a grand architectural structure. Any building, no matter how beautiful or magnificent its exterior facade appears, is only as structurally sound as its foundational pillars. If even one single pillar is structurally compromised or cracked, the entire building is at constant risk of a catastrophic collapse when a storm hits. The 4 core cornerstones of a truly high-performing mind are hyperfocus, emotional regulation, systematic resilience, total mental clarity. Let's dismantle and explore each one of these in deep detail. Pillar 1: Hyperfocus. In the year 2004, scientific studies tracked the average human attention span at approximately 12 seconds. By the year 2023, data revealed that the average human attention span had plummeted to a shocking 8 seconds, a metric shorter
than that of a common goldfish, according to widely circulated science headlines. While that specific goldfish statistic is often debated by academics, the underlying societal trend is absolutely undeniable. Modern everyday life is systematically, aggressively destroying our fundamental human ability to concentrate.
And concentration is absolutely everything. Without intense focus, high intelligence is completely wasted. Without intense focus, immense natural talent is squandered. Without intense focus, time, your most finite, precious, non-renewable resource on this planet, simply evaporates into thin air. Cal Newport, a prominent computer science professor and author of Deep Work, defines two very distinct types of labor: deep work and shallow work. He defines deep work as cognitively demanding professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their absolute biological limit, creating massive new value and improving your skill set. Shallow work, on the other hand, consists of logistically non-demanding, administrative tasks often performed while completely distracted, such as constantly answering emails, attending pointless meetings, and mindlessly checking chat notifications. Newport's extensive research revealed that the vast majority of modern knowledge workers spend less than 4 hours per day in a state of genuine deep work. Conversely, elite performers, the absolute top 1% who rise to the apex of their respective fields, aggressively protect and maximize their deep work time, routinely scheduling 4 to 6 hours of completely uninterrupted, isolated focus as the absolute centerpiece of their entire day. Bill Gates was legendary for taking annual Think Weeks, 7 full days in complete physical isolation in a cabin in the woods, with no meetings, no phone calls, and no digital distractions, dedicated entirely to reading books and engaging in deep, high-level thinking. Those isolated retreats directly produced some of Microsoft's most iconic strategic pivots. The action step for you is to start small. Commit right now to scheduling one single 90-minute block of completely distraction-free deep work tomorrow morning. Turn your phone completely off, silence every notification, close every irrelevant browser tab, and attack a single major task. Watch how much you accomplish. Pillar 2. Emotional regulation. The capacity to deeply understand, manage, and constructively direct your emotional states is perhaps the most severely underrated form of intelligence in human existence. Dr. Daniel Goleman, the groundbreaking psychologist who popularized the concept of emotional intelligence, discovered through exhaustive research that EQ, not IQ, was the single strongest statistical predictor of long-term success in corporate leadership, personal relationships, and overall life satisfaction. In his detailed analysis of hundreds of global companies, high emotional intelligence was responsible for nearly 90% of what radically differentiated top-tier executive performers from completely average ones at the senior leadership level. Why? Because human emotions are highly contagious. They heavily dictate your decision-making processes. They determine exactly how you treat people when you are under immense pressure. They either sharpen your executive judgment or cloud it completely. Consider this thought experiment. 2 surgeons of completely identical technical surgical skill are operating in adjacent rooms. A sudden, unexpected, highly dangerous complication arises mid-surgery, requiring rapid, flawless problem-solving.
Surgeon A immediately panics. Her internal cortisol levels spike wildly. Her prefrontal cortex, the rational, logical area of the brain, is partially hijacked by the amygdala's primitive threat response. She hesitates, gets defensive, and makes a suboptimal, panicked choice. Surgeon B, facing the exact same life or death complication, takes a single, deep, conscious breath. He has deliberately trained in mindfulness for 2 years. His parasympathetic nervous system instantly engages. His cortisol levels remain manageable. His prefrontal cortex stays completely online and fully functional. He calmly assesses the bleeding, decides on a logical course of action, and executes with pristine clarity. Same exact complication, identical technical training, completely different minds, completely different outcomes. Emotional regulation is never about suppression. It is about absolute control. Pillar 3. Systematic resilience. Resilience is the fundamental capacity to absorb a massive psychological shock, rapidly adapt to the new reality, and return to peak functional capacity, or grow exponentially beyond it. The science surrounding resilience is absolutely fascinating. Research conducted by Dr. Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania, widely considered the founding father of positive psychology, explicitly proved that resilience is not a fixed genetic trait that you are either born with or without. It can be systematically learned. It can be physically trained. Look at the extraordinary life of Viktor Frankl, a brilliant psychiatrist who survived the unimaginable horrors of 4 separate Nazi concentration camps, including Auschwitz. In his monumental book, Man's Search for Meaning, he documented how the inmates who managed to maintain a deep, unshakable sense of future purpose, even in the most horrific, degrading circumstances humanly imaginable, survived at dramatically higher statistical rates than those who lost their meaning and gave up. Frankl famously penned these immortal words: "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." That tiny psychological space, that critical gap between what happens to you externally and how you choose to react internally, is the ultimate training ground of human resilience. Every single time you consciously choose your response based on core values, instead of reacting automatically out of primitive instinct, you expand that space. You build the muscle of an unbeatable mind. Pillar 4. Total mental clarity. Clarity is the ultimate operational difference between a standard household light bulb and a high-tech industrial laser. Both objects emit light energy, but a laser beam can cleanly cut through a thick sheet of solid steel. The difference isn't the raw amount of power. The difference is absolute focus, alignment, and coherence. Mental clarity means knowing exactly what matters most, why it matters to your long-term vision, and precisely what step to take next without a single ounce of confusion, without endless second-guessing, and without drowning in the modern fog of information overload. In our always-on, hyper-connected world, clarity has officially become a rare superpower. The individuals who achieve it operate on a completely different level of reality. Jeff Weiner, the highly successful former CEO of LinkedIn, became a legend in Silicon Valley for an unusual habit:
He explicitly scheduled 90 to 120 minutes of completely blank buffer time directly into his calendar every single day. No meetings allowed, no phone calls, no emails, just completely open thinking space. Most corporate executives look at an empty calendar block as wasted, unproductive time. Wiener saw it as the single most productive block of his entire day, the critical window where he could process incoming information, connect hidden dots, make pristine executive decisions, and think deeply about the macro strategy of the company. He called it the vital difference between constantly operating in the business versus actively working on the business. Mental clarity requires deliberate white space. You simply cannot think clearly when every single minute of your day is violently consumed by noise. Here is a simple clarity exercise you can implement immediately. Every morning, before you open your phone or your laptop, answer these 3 specific questions in writing. What is the absolute most important thing I need to accomplish today? What is the biggest obstacle or distraction I am likely to face? What is the one decision I have been actively avoiding that desperately needs to be made? This simple 5-minute morning ritual creates an unshakable clarity anchor for your entire day. Build these 4 cornerstones deliberately, and you will possess an unshakable mental foundation. Thank you so much for listening to The Architecture of an Unbeatable Mind. If this audio program moved you, challenged your baseline assumptions, or gave you a single actionable idea that you are going to deploy in your life today, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and immediately share this video with one specific person in your life who needs to hear this message. Leave your absolute biggest personal takeaway in the comments section below. I personally read every single one of them. Take exceptional care of that mind of yours, and I will see you in the very next audiobook breakdown.